Question 3 falls under it's a bit like a real world context under the topic for exponential equation. So usually this is quite a lengthy question, and it will throw people off because it's quite lengthy. So you need to be very mindful about the context. So in this context, right, we got a cup of hot tea. So it's very hot. So you're expecting the temperature to be very high. And you are going to put it there in the living room to cool it down. So the idea of cooling down means the temperature will keep decreasing. So they have this formula. So again, you have to observe what are the variable representing. The question will usually describe to you. It's a matter of are you aware or not. Okay, so they describe already. N is a constant. T is the number of minutes that it is placed in the living room. So it's like how long in the living room. So the longer you place the cup of tea in the living room, of course the temperature will just go lower. So that means this is the temperature of the cup of tea after T minutes. So depending on how long the cup has been placed in the living room, the temperature will change. So you need to understand this. Otherwise, even first part, you will get stuck. So they say that the temperature of the cup becomes 50. The cup of tea becomes 50 after 10 minutes. So that should be your understanding. So the purpose of giving you this piece of information is so that you can prove the constant. So constant, meaning of constant means essentially it won't change. So if let's say you are stuck on this part, I don't know how to get the N, you can carry on. You can carry on using the N. So this is supposed to be the N. So if let's say you don't know how to get the N, you just throw back into the equation and use back the equation. Okay, so how actually are you supposed to? That means it's actually quite easy. You just put in the capital T to be 50. Then you put the small t to be a 10. So this is an exponential equation. So most of there will be a lot of people who will remember this. Oh, I think later on I need to learn both sides. Yes, correct. This is the technique of learn both sides. But you got to do the learn both sides at the correct time. So usually you will learn both sides when the coefficient here is 1. That means I got to isolate. I got to isolate the exponential function. So I'm going to divide over. So I got to isolate the exponential function first. So common mistake will be, there will be a lot of people who will not isolate first, and then they start to take long both sides. So, okay, anyway, if you simplify, you got 18 over 58. So your job is to introduce the ln on both sides. So introduce. So there are also one group of students who will get stuck. So after this part, then they'll be wondering, so what do I do? So what is actually the purpose of ln both sides? Your purpose is to be able to bring down the power. Because if you introduce a ln, that is the property of logarithm. So there is one logarithm rules that allow you to bring down the power. You punch this on your calculator, it will be a 1. So essentially, this is the operation. So to get the N, you actually punch it up. So that should give you the 0.117. So understanding the question plus the technique. So some of you may suffer at the technique part. Okay, so now the next part. So even if you couldn't get the 0.117, you can carry on part 2. Okay, but you need to understand what is the question asking in the next part. Your job is to find the number of minutes. So T is a question mark. For the T to cool down to half of its initial temperature. Half the initial temperature. So if you take a look, right, you read back the question, they never tell you what was the starting temperature. So you don't even know the starting temperature. So how are you supposed to know half the temperature? So if you want to find the initial temperature, so what is the concept of an initial temperature? That means at the starting, T is equal to 0. So you go and punch it, you will get a 90 degree. That means, right, when you start to place it in the living room, it's actually 90. So what is your target temperature? The target temperature will be half of 90 degree. That means, right, I should put a degree Celsius. So that means when the capital letter T is 45, what is the time taken? Again, you're going to repeat the log both side technique. So place the 45 into the equation. So your job is to find the T. So it will be exactly the same technique as part 1. So you're going to try whether you can get the answer or not. So if you try to isolate the exponential function, introduce ln on both sides, eventually you will get something like this, which you are supposed to round off to the nearest minute. So you give it a try. See whether you can match up the technique that is in part 1. So essentially it's the same thing.